Hey everyone, you're watching Phone Arena's in-depth video review of the Nokia Neuron 5230, which is an S60 5th edition handset that's for T-Mobile and brings forth a lot of neat features that US consumers tend to not see. Again, Nokia is mostly known here in the US as an entry-level maker, but the Nokia Neuron is a touchscreen device that hopefully has what it takes to contend in the smartphone market here. The Nokia Neuron utilizes a lot of design elements that we've seen already on the Nokia 5800 and 5530 Express Music. As you can see, it's your typical Slate form factor. It has this silver and white color scheme that contrasts really well. Although the materials they use may not be premium, the very plasticky nature of the device still feels really good in the hand. It makes it fairly lightweight, although it does seem a little bit thicker than comparable touchscreen phones. We do like its overall look. It might not be groundbreaking, but it works well for this device. For something that packs a 3.2-inch resistive LCD screen, we were really impressed by the Neuron's performance and usability. It has a resolution of 360 by 640 and support for up to 16 million colors, and we gotta say that's quite vivid and bright, and text is really easy to see. Details really good with the display. We were really impressed by its usability. Now right below that is the dedicated hardware buttons, the send and end, and also menu key, very tactile and quite raised. On the left hand side you have access to the micro SD card slots on the right and the SIM card to the left, and on top you have your micro USB port, your 3.5mm headset jack, charging port, and dedicated power button. While on the right side you have the same things that we saw on the 5800 5530, the dedicated camera button, a lock unlock, and the volume rocker. On the back, you just have the 2-megapixel camera, which actually stepped down from the two previous devices. And when you remove the back cover, it gives you access to the battery. Now, for US consumers that aren't really too familiar with S60 5th edition, the Nokia Neuron might have somewhat of a steep learning curve at first, but afterwards you'll find the platform to run really smooth. At the bottom here you have some commonly used icons. You have one for your dialing pad, you have your web browser, My Faves, and also your contacts. You got even more on the front. The home screen gives you a lot of information. To get to the main menu, you got to press the middle hardware button. It brings up your applications listing, and overall it runs really smooth. Getting into and out of applications, it runs really fine, and it's very few times we actually see the platform crash. So it's fairly easy to use, just takes some time getting adjusted to it. Sending messages on the Nokia Neuron is an enjoyable experience. So there's a few different ways you could input text. Right now we have the numeric keypad for your traditional way. You have even a handwriting option. And finally, when you tilt the phone to its left, you're going to get the full QWERTY keyboard option. And it works really good. As we said, the touchscreen is quite responsive. So text messaging, speed typing is no problem with this device. Web browsing on the Neuron is a decent experience as pages load up fairly quickly on T-Mobile's 3G network. At the same time, it renders the page just like what you see on a desktop computer. You could double tap to zoom in, or you could press the dedicated zoom button on the bottom right corner. There's even an option for a page overview, so you could see the entire site fully, and then you can just move the window to a specific portion you want and zooms in. We do like the fact that it has support for flashlight, meaning that YouTube files will play within the window, but unfortunately it does not have an option for opening up pages in a separate window. Other than that, it works really well and we're happy with the experience on it. You got yourself a basic looking music player on the Nokia Neuron. It displays the album cover, the song title, the artist, and of course the time elapsed with some on-screen functions. If you exit back to the home screen, it'll continue to play. There's actually a player on the home screen. Sound quality from the speaker was kind of lacking, kind of mute for our taste, and when you set it to its pretty high setting, it started to crackle at that point. Now, thanks to its high-resolution display, it made watching videos on the Neuron an enjoyable experience. You can see that the colors are quite vivid and crisp. At the same time, there's no lag or slowdown. The one thing that we did notice with the device is the fact that it would not play any videos that were coded in H.264 or H.263. This one here is in MP4, but unfortunately it kept on crashing whenever you use those other two codecs. That's a little bit confusing why Nokia ended up going with a 2-megapixel camera for the Neuron as opposed to the higher one found in the 5800 and 5530. As far as taking photos, it's fairly quick, taking a snapshot, but as far as image quality is concerned, it's kind of lacking detail, and at the same time, it just didn't have that great color quality too. It's kind of bland. Fortunately, as far as taking videos, it has a maximum shooting resolution of 360 by 640 at 30 frames per second, so it's quite detailed, and at the same time, it was also smooth as far as playback. Calling quality in Neuron was respectable. Voices on both ends were distinct and clear. Unfortunately, the speaker was kind of lacking in power, so it made it really difficult hearing people, even the highest volume setting. When we switched over to the speakerphone, we had a decent experience, except whenever we had it set to this highest level, just because it starts to crackle at that point. Battery life under Neuron, we managed to get a respectable 2 days out of it before it died. That's pretty good when you consider we use it mostly for text messaging and internet browsing. Finally, just retaining signal strength was no problem, as it had pretty good bars all around. It's not to say that the Neuron isn't a bad device, especially when you consider that it's bringing back Nokia's presence into the US smartphone market. But unfortunately, it's coming in at a time when there's some fierce competition, especially from Android, to win over consumers out there. With its simplistic design and very easy to use interface, there's no doubt that there might be a market for this device here in the US, but we'll see how it's positioned by T-Mobile and Nokia. So if you'd like to learn more about this handset, for all the latest news, specs, information, and reviews, you can check us out at phonearena.com.